What is going on, YouTube? It's Brendan from Market Makers. Welcome to the Sunday kickoff show, everybody. Will the Grinch steal the Santa Claus rally? This is our last full trading week of the year coming up, so we're going to find out. The following week is a shortened week. Equities are closed on Monday, so we're at critical support in all the equities on the chart. So we're going to take a look at that, guys. We're going to deep dive into Bitcoin as well. I'll get this video out quick for you so you can go back and watch some football. But these are some key questions we have to determine, guys. Are we going to hold or are we going to break? I think the consensus is most people think we're going to break. So being a contrarian, I want to see if there's any potential to move up before we break, hence the Santa Claus rally. Guys, this video will be brought to you by our great sponsors, SimpleFX. If you want to trade on a decentralized Forex exchange, they have all the equities, commodities, and of course they have Bitcoin and cryptos there as well. Your money's in segregated accounts and cold storage. It is futures only. If you're not familiar with Forex exchanges, check out the tutorial guide, and everything is in the video description. And of course, if you want access to trade basically all of the cryptos, download BITGET, that link in the video description. Our Discord trading room, that sale ends at the end of the year, guys. $20 gets you in the room. That link also in the video description. Download Discord, click our link, and let's jump into these charts. Weekly time frame. Bitcoin holding on to the 3-1 gradient here on the weekly time frame. Our key pivot date of January 3rd on the daily will be coming up. Clicking over to the daily, Dante's Descent, giving us these fantastic trades I've been sharing with you all the way down. And of course, that January 3rd date is up and coming. Want to look at our targets and look at our support. So if we're looking at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, first thing I'm looking at is that 200 coming down. The 233 is above it, but we need to lay out our fibs, guys. Let's do a fib retracement from that swing low, high, all the way down to that low. And I think this is the actual low here. So when we're looking at this, again, the 618 at 20,172, keen interest to me with the 200 moving down. You guys have seen me throw on my Kepler's triangles here. Go down to a 1272. Right about here, and then this ratio, depending on that January 3rd date, if this date plays out, that would give us the 486 ratio on Kepler's triangle. That's at 20,172. Bitcoin, I know it looks like it fell apart. It got an up thrust at a Wyckoff and rolled over, but it's still holding that higher low off the base, okay? So there's a potential here to wave up if we get any type of Santa Claus rally, and obviously that 486 at 19,164 is also of interest. Let me get rid of the triangles, zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit more. So we have our Wyckoff structure here, but this structure is what I'm talking about, coming off your low, and then you fell back to this support zone. You lose this support zone and just come back down. I'm not saying any rallies canceled, but it gets harder and harder to climb back up. You got a clear rejection off the 18,370 on the 382. I just don't think that's all she wrote. A lot of people, especially in the YouTube space, are super bearish. People putting out their videos, see you at 8K, see you at the bottom, those types of things. And that could be how it plays out, guys. But the equities are holding their critical support. You guys know, I mean, I'm a long-term bear. I just understand that price moves in these waves before you have breakdowns, just like it has all along here on the daily time frame, okay? So is this our wave? Is that it? And it's just breaking down from here? It seems too simple. I don't know if enough money got trapped in here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And it's just, we haven't touched the 200 since March 28th of this year. And it's so relatively close. It's basically, what, 3,500 points away. So, we have these next 2 weeks. We have this January 3rd date. So a little bit longer than 2 weeks. With this January 3rd date, I'm curious to see if we can get up to that 618. 618 or that 46 at 19,164. And if I start looking at this and drawing more patterns here, a little bit more, we can do something like this. If we draw, let's go ahead and grab an XABCD pattern. If we're drawing a Gartley vibration here, draw it up, there's your point B, here's your C. If you hold that C and you come up to the 46 at 19,164, that's basically a 618 retracement. If you came up to that 618 on that trend-based fib, you're looking at a basically 786 retracement. So both of these, to me, are realistic targets, even though the price action doesn't dictate that right now, okay? but we'll have to see how that plays. Now, if we go ahead and throw on, let's just throw on some Bollinger Bands. I never use Bollinger Bands, but it gets the same effect, showing you the compression before the explosion. Daily time frame, guys. There's your explosion. You're compressing. Okay, so you have a move coming in. That wave can be up and then down. That wave could be down and then a little bounce up and then down again. So we'll see which way this goes, but the equities are going to give you a lot of sense of direction on this, because if they just fall apart this coming up week, then you're going to see most likely this wave, whenever it decides to explode, is going to go that direction as well. And these pivot dates, guys, January 3rd, got to keep an eye on that to see where price is. Let's look at Bitcoin on the 4-hour, because on the 4-hour, you fell below the 233, fell below the 200, almost came down to that 16,489, and you're just hovering beneath it. So let's jump over to the Russell, Dante's Descent, also keeping in pattern here. Weekly time frame retraced to the 618, below the 200, below the 233, below the weekly 50, which is what you pumped up to. Here it is on the daily. You can see it at the 618 at 1740. You're at 1756. This is what I'm saying. Very critical support, because it's allowing you to keep this box structure up here. You break below that in Fibonacci trading, you have a bias to keep descending as well to the 786, to the 1 fib, and then you're back down at your lows. So let's see if we do this on the daily chart. Daily chart, that 618 fib angle coming up from the pandemic low gave you excellent resistance, pumped above the 200, fell back down below it, lost the 50. You can see that you need to hold this, right? If you just do a fib retracement from this wave low to your wave high, you bounce right off the 618. So this is, like I said, critical support. If you're going to rally, it's going to be very soon. That projected potential pivot date for a top is December 30th. That could roll out to January 2nd with the shortened trading week, but we'll see, because it's following Bitcoin very closely. They both topped at their all-time highs within 48 hours of each other, and they're both pivoting roughly within 24 to 48 hours of each other as well. So I want to see if we get this wave up on our Dante descent pattern. Looking at the MFI, it is still bearish. We had more wave volume here for selling. ATR is getting low. Let's look at RSVVB. I mean, you are bottling up a little bit. It's kind of congested, so you don't get a lot of bottle formation here for some of these moves, it looks like. If we look at, let's look at this on, let me see, if we expand this, come in some here, let's get our volume to pop up. And we can see our volume, again, you built that top, you had low volume, had more volume here for selling. But, as a contrarian, right, I like to fancy myself as a contrarian. As a contrarian, with a lot of analysts being bearish here, this, if we're going to rebound and get any rally, like I've said all along, the rally's capped. I think you might end up just rallying back to where you fell from, maybe slightly higher along this angle, get up to that 1945 target that I identified earlier. That's a good potential for a target. And you're at 1756. You're talking about like $200, and you're talking about in the next 2 weeks. Maybe a big ask, but we got to see how the market plays out. If we flip over to the S&P weekly time frame, that trend line's just been magic, right? Everybody's got that trend line. Weekly 50, you wicked above it, fell back below it, and of course you're retracing here as well, probably to the 618 if we measure this wave. Measure that wave. Oh, you're at the 486, 38.24. So you bounced down, almost hit it, and came back up. Looking at this on the daily time frame, again, you can see why this is important. You just fell below your 50, right? So if you start breaking down, retest the 50, fall back down, that's super, super bearish. And if we go ahead and measure this wave, base to top, again, bouncing off the 486, this is running out of time here to really make any type of moves. The Santa Claus rally, ostensibly, the reason, December is traditionally, maybe not over this last 2 decades because of the bubble cycles we've had with .com and '08, but traditionally December, January are stronger months, the strongest months in the stock market. So that's why a lot of people are predicting this, and we got the CPI behind us, we got the bad news behind us, no new economic data is coming out for a couple of weeks, so we'll see how the market reacts if it wants to get a little bit more bullish. But as of right now, the same resistance levels are still intact. Your support levels is what you definitely need to watch as well if you start breaking down here, because if you lose this, you're looking at 37, 38 on the S&P. And if you lose that, then you're coming down to retest your base down there at 34.89. Feels a little bit too early for that. I still think wave up is a possibility. Looking at the NASDAQ, same thing. They're all making the same movements here, guys. You do a fib retracement from the base to the peak, and you're looking at the NASDAQ coming down to the 618 at 11,115. It's just shy of that, 11,211. Here on the daily time frame, the NASDAQ was the weakest performer. It never got to its 200, 233. Got above its 50, but it fell back below the 50. And I would venture to say, obviously, if you do a fib retracement, you're right at your 486, just like the S&P. You're at 11,209. Okay, you see that, and you're just sitting on it. So this is really weak because of big tech, because of all the highly overvalued companies. I don't know, we're going to see how this holds up. Obviously, I'll have a video coming out Tuesday. Futures and everything is still closed right now. It is Sunday afternoon, opens up at 6 Eastern time on Simple. So we got to see what futures are doing, if the selling is going to continue. We had the heavy selling the day after the CPI. Then Friday wasn't as much selling. It decreased dramatically. So are we basing here to try yet another attempt to do something in all of these equity places, or are we just going to see further declination in price? That would seem really easy if we just got further declination in price. But we shall see. Need a little bit more time to pass, but rest assured, if the markets break down, Bitcoin will start breaking down as well. May be delayed, may lead, but the difference is with a pattern on Bitcoin, I'm pretty happy with understanding we've caught these big trades at these pivot dates. So wherever price is, January 3rd, I'll be looking at it. I just have this gut feeling, guys, that we may get one more push up. And it may not be a very powerful push, but we may get one more push up, retest at 18,370 or possibly 19,164 or the 20,172. All key targets to look for here on Bitcoin, especially. I can't believe we got this close to the 200 and we haven't tested it yet, because that would make perfect logical sense that you come up, get rejected, or pump above it, get rejected just above it at the 786 at 21,455, and then capitulate and then fall down. So we shall see the sentiment this coming up week. Guys, stay tuned for the next video. Please do like and subscribe. Leave your comments. I will answer them as always. Have a fantastic evening, everybody.